Hey, it's me. And I have a few miniatures that I got recently. These designs are from the Twin Goddess line of miniatures, and I have a different diorama that I'm planning for some of these that will be different from the video that I'm doing today. Now, this is not the first time I'm painting a few minis because a few years ago I painted the Black Panther Shuri, and you can check that after this video because at this point I have already selected the pieces that I will be using for this video, and it's this one, which is the elf goddess, I think. But there's a few more things I have to do with this, and number one is cleaning up some of the supports that were left behind, like nub marks. And I am also removing her antlers because the concept I have for her is different and does not need those. Now, once I've removed most of the prominent knobs, I proceed to sanding and grinding everything, and I also placed surfacer on these pieces. This Surfacer 500 that I have has been with me for, I think, almost half a decade now, and it still works, and I'm really happy I have this on hand for tackling such a project. After all the surface preps and priming, we're diving straight into painting, and of course the skin tone parts here is what I decided to go with first. And I actually tried to search online for a guide that will work for me on um, layering and glazing. I think I have found a few resources online, but during the time that I was testing this out, it was a bit difficult for me. But this really convinced me to, trust the process and be more patient with blending the colors because it really won't happen in an instant in three or four passes with the paint. After the skin tone is the white cloth area, followed by the greens. Now at this point, you will most likely have an idea of the inspiration for the color scheme that I have for this miniature. This green is a mix of blue and yellow water-based acrylics that I have because I don't have that exact shade of green on hand. And what happened is I just added white and black on my excess parts to make the dark and the light shades that I needed for the glazing and the layering. And if you still have no idea of the color scheme inspiration for this, then probably these red accents on the belt and the flower on the head will be the giveaway already at this point. And also the base that I wasn't able to take a video of, that I am adding the wash for the panel lines or the recess areas, will most likely give another hint on this project's inspiration. I'm actually quite happy with how this turned out with the colors that I placed in it, and it's also the first time that I tried doing washes using acrylics that are water based. With that first piece done, I decided that I didn't want that base to be used for the mini, so I decided I need like a versus concept, and I got this skull part of one of the other miniatures, and the base that was originally, I think, meant for the goddess, I'm using it now. And after surfacing and priming, we're going straight into the paint. And this is also Pokemon inspired, and you can take a guess at this point, but it's most likely going to be a dead giveaway when you see the colors that I'm starting to mix here. First, with a black blue for the base of the skull, and a violet for the whatever that flowing thing is called. Now for the violet, I actually made a mistake of doing 1:1 with the blue and red acrylic, and it turned out into maroon. So I decided to first paint the base using those colors while I was trying to figure out what went wrong and what is the possible way to do it and achieve that purple. And to achieve said purple color, I decided to use blue, adding very few bits of red gradually to achieve the kind of shade that I needed for this, and it actually worked. So I got back into painting the sludge thingy design underneath the skull. Now, since these two are sort of a late addition to the project, I sort of kind of forgot the proper way of doing glazing and layering. I need to do this more often, I guess, with some practice pieces to achieve the correct way of doing it. But overall, I'm still happy with how the progress has been. And going back to the base, I'm using some of my skin tone colors as additional brick color variation to make it more interesting. Now for that design tile area, I was actually thinking of painting it a different color, maybe a purple color, but um, I actually have glow in the dark powders, which I tried to put there also, but it didn't work. I don't know why, and in the end, it didn't matter because that part also got sort of covered by the miniature that I placed there. So maybe I can try that in a future project. After the dark wash for the base, I'm going back into the skull figure and trying to add or establish my highlights and glazes and layers and everything. It's also during this point that I also tried my best to do some color blending and really extend my patience with this process in painting, because in Gunpla it's not like this. I usually just mask parts and just expect the lighting to do the rest of the highlights and the shadows of the pieces. This is a welcome challenge for me to improve my skills in hand painting, and maybe even improve my skills in processing colors for miniatures and for scale models. After all the painting is done, I'm putting some glow in the dark powder in the eye sockets of the skull. This will be the supposed white area of the eye for the Pokemon inspired by this color scheme. And one of my favorite activities during this project happens now, which is the UV resin. I've had these for some time, and I've finally used the UV resin extensively, and for the eyes as well as the smoke effect around the skull. I don't actually like entirely the smoke effect that I made from thin layers of UV resin hardened through the half circle molds, but overall I think it's good enough for the time being. In future projects, I am most likely going to be using UV resin as well. And I also want to try my hand at the two-part resin course, but that would take a while and a lot of resources to prepare for. So that will be later down the line. Lastly, after the UV resin build up of the smoke effect parts for the skull piece, I am using what I found out that I still have my lacquer violet, which I painted on it to simulate the purple or violet effect of the smoke. I had to go at it with a few passes so that I can establish the colors. But good thing is that because it's lacquer, it dries quickly, and I was able to go back within a few minutes or hours after the initial layer. And with everything done, I am just going to attach them to their respective bases, sprinkle them with some clear coat, and onto the final reveal shots. But before that, write down in the comments your guesses for the two inspirations of the color scheme for these miniatures. And now, let's go! I hope I have inspired you to get back on your backlog projects with this one, and let me know if you have any experiences with miniature painting. If you have any tips you want to share, leave them down in the comments. And as always, keep moving, keep building.